You know the exact sensation. You decide it is time to make a major change in your life. You build up the momentum to move, and almost immediately you feel like you are being dragged backward by an invisible weight. When we try to explain this paralysis, we usually point to the external world. We say we don't have the right resources yet. We blame a terrible economy. We blame poor timing or disadvantages from our past. These reasons are heavy, and they are incredibly persuasive because they usually contain a kernel of truth. They make logical sense, giving us the perfect, socially acceptable alibi for staying exactly where we are. But those external circumstances are not the actual barrier. The real architect of your stagnation is the harshest critic in your life, the voice inside your own head, constantly engineering walls out of perfectly rational excuses. If your strategy is to wait until that inner critic finally quiets down, or until you suddenly wake up feeling ready to take a risk, you are guaranteeing your own permanent stagnation. In his book, Unfuck Yourself, Gary John Bishop introduces a brutal but necessary exercise. He asks you to evaluate your life based strictly on physical evidence, completely ignoring your intentions. Take the ambitious plans you think about before you fall asleep. Take your best intentions. Take all the carefully crafted reasons why you haven't started yet. Now, erase them entirely. Look exclusively at the raw, physical actions you took over the last 24 hours. Where did your feet go? What did your hands do? Those daily actions, isolated from any internal commentary, represent the exact life you are actively choosing to construct. You are not what you think about doing. You are strictly what you do. This diagram illustrates a psychological concept called cognitive diffusion, which explains why we defend our internal excuses so fiercely. Most of us operate in a default state of fusion, where our core identity is deeply entangled with our thoughts. When you think, "I can't do this," or "I'm not ready," you don't treat it as a passing sentence in your brain. You treat it as inescapable reality. Your mind builds a solid wall out of language, and you refuse to walk through it. Diffusion is the act of stepping back. It means dismantling that wall and recognizing that your thoughts are not facts. They are just recurring patterns of language running on autopilot. Your internal monologue is not an oracle of truth. It is simply a broken record that you have the power to observe rather than obey. Once people realize they need to break out of this mental loop, they almost always reach for the wrong tool to escape: willpower. Willpower is a highly unstable, exhaustible emotional state. It fluctuates wildly depending on your sleep, stress, and mood. Relying on it is a losing game. A much stronger, evidence-based alternative comes from a clinical treatment known as behavioral activation. It hinges on one critical distinction: separating the choice to act from the desire to act. We assume we need to feel motivated before we can do something difficult. Science shows the exact opposite sequence. Action must physically precede motivation. Waiting to feel ready is a biological impossibility. The feeling of readiness doesn't magically appear out of nowhere. It is generated exclusively as a byproduct of moving first. To override a fused internal narrative, Bishop offers a set of 7 declarations. These are statements like, "I am willing," and "I got this." These are not positive affirmations. You are not trying to manifest a better reality by thinking happy thoughts. They are aggressive, uncomfortable confrontations with the specific limitations you have placed on yourself. But to make any of these declarations actually work, you have to build them on a psychological foundation of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance does not mean passive resignation, and it doesn't mean you have to like your current situation. It means engaging strictly with the facts as they are right now, rather than suffering over how you wish they were. Your ultimate goal here is never to silence the inner critic. That is a scientifically impossible task. Your goal is simply to revoke its authority over your limbs. So to unfuck your life, stop waiting for permission from your own mind. Action first, feeling follows.